We need that badly.
Yeah.
I get tired of driving all the way.
Recording in progress.
All right, the lights are on, so we can start the meeting.
Do you want to run it?
No, I can do
That's
that.
good.
Let's introduce ourselves.
Jason Hall, Finance Committee.
Pete Lovejoyce.
Pete is setting in. We're expecting more members. Catherine Ruth, Town Manager. So the first item on the agenda was the roll call, which we took care of. We're pretty informal at these meetings as a council committee, and myself as staff. We have the expense warrant, so you have 3. There will be more. I apologize, the staff has been out sick. Sickness has gone through the office several times now as soon as we take our masks off. So all of the bills will be processed by the end of the week, and there will be quite a few more expense warrants for next week. But thank you for signing what we have. The water sewer commitment was completed for books 3 and 4. So books 1, 2, 3, and 4 have been completed. The version that we went through after we got the meter issue taken care of, then knocked out a lot of the reading. Everything had to be inputted from day 1. And we spent 7 days working with TRIO and with all of our associates employees. Somebody can come in?
He's coming right. It's great.
Oh, okay. Craig, come right in.
He's on.
Okay. So basically, the sewer bills, we went through every account. We went out and reread the ones several times, and we have found how these are set up in the new TRIO system. They've turned on some of the items that weren't turned on. And so we did get a lot of help from TRIO. So I suspect the next time this will be easier. We'll be working on books 5 and 6 now. Book 5 has the mobile home park, which is very difficult to go through. There's a number of issues, and we may be bringing some recommendations to the town council regarding the water and sewer billing for that entity. Hello?
Good evening.
I was just telling them that we'll have more expense warrants next week. And the water and sewer bills are out for both books 1 and 2, 3 and 4 after the massive TRIO conversion and having to re-input almost everything. That was like a nightmare there. But it's done. And we're headed to book 5 and 6 now. And book 7 is very easy. I'll do that one before the end of the month.
Good.
Yeah, so we'll get those all updated. And I believe the next set will be easier. If not, TRIO's going to have to come on site and straighten it out. So that's what we told them. So going on to regular business, we have the reserve reconciliation as of August 31st, 2022. And so that is in your packet for August. And so I heard from the financial institution, Bar Harbor Wealth, that they had done the calculations wrong, and so they sent me another breakdown of the reserve, so I have to go through and change everything. This happened several times during the year. I had questioned why computer capital reserve was in the negative. That's the third from the bottom there. It shouldn't have been, but I made the entry, all the entries to reconcile this out. It'll be the same bottom line, but the interest will change between these, so I'll have to go and change everything to make it equal out. So basically, we've got for the reserve general fund, and that's for all the departments, we've got reserve funding of $769,664. For the water department, we've got reserve funding of $306,933. For Fund 3, or the sewer account, this is the one that we have the major monies for the cleaning out of the lagoon and the sewer projects. We have $778,648. And then for Fund 7, which is the cemeteries, which doesn't have a cash account, we just add up the accounts that are in the general fund for the cemetery, and that is $186,805. And so that's the money that's at Bar Harbor Wealth in the reserve accounts. Now we do have separate large cemetery trust. I asked them for the statement so I could present that to you, and I haven't received it yet for August, but that is generally over $1 million. It is for 3 cemetery accounts. The principal is less than $300,000, so there's a lot of interest in there. And currently, we are reimbursing and paying for the cemetery budget over a number of years, basically. So the budget's in there as an expense, but we put the revenue in from the trust fund and equal it out to 0. So I will get that document as soon as it comes in and reconcile the whole thing, break it down, and then either send you a copy or present it at the next meeting in your package. So these are basically the reserves. We do have monies, and have talked about, once we get the paving a little bit more updated, that we will go out and do some paving of the parking lots in town, because we own quite a few of them, and do a sidewalk reconstruction plan, but we needed to do some work on the roads first. So we do have some money here for that. And so you see all the balances that are here. The Bar Harbor balance equals the funds on the records of the town for the general ledger. And we just reimbursed ourselves for all the expenses we had during the year. You had expenses in the municipal building, not much. Expenses in the airport, not much. And then the computer account got wiped out, basically, because the project was done. So if there's not any questions, so we'll on to the budget calendar, which is your next handout. So we are basically down where we've, I put together a very draft revenue budget, extremely draft, and still working on that. We did receive the budget requests on the 9th and then over the weekend, and I told everyone that hadn't got them in, they needed to send them in by yesterday and get this done. This is the first time almost everybody was late, but they did get them all in, except for cemetery, which I reminded, and the fire department, which I reminded. And so the fire department's usually about the same. The cemetery, he is trying to figure out how to write this all up. I said, just, write down some bullet points and I'll help you with that. So you should have those two shortly. The purpose of this meeting is to go through the original department request. This was something one of the councilors had asked, and so we sometimes have like 10 meetings going on the finance committee. This year we're tailored this down to just a few and streamlined it, which is probably good. So you have all of the original requests. Now they're a bit messy, and I usually organize them and help them with them once I get them. And we do have several people who have not worked on budgets before who are doing budgets, 2 people. So they're getting used to that too. So going down the budget calendar, we're here to go over the budget requests, and then the revenue budget will get finalized at near the end of September next week. And then the expenditure budget will be compiled around October 6th. And then October 7th, I'm going to have a little trouble with this, but I will do my very best to get everything reconciled for September 30th. Since the TRIO program, we had all those issues, it was taking 3 weeks to reconcile everything. So hopefully now that the new program is set up and we've got most of the bugs out, we'll be going back to where it could take a week. But this will be optimistic. We'll get that all done as best as possible so we can get back to where I used to do the bank reconciliation and the checking account in 2 hours, not 3 weeks. So hopefully we'll be back to that. On the next page, you've got a finance committee meeting on October 11th. This is where you'll get like a draft budget where I put everything together, and you can make your last comments before I finalize it and send it out to the town council. The budget is due to the town council on October 14th, which is tax due date. So this will be fun. Your first workshops in order to move this forward and try to get things done before the second meeting in December, as the mayor had requested, and you all had ended up with getting it done. Hopefully on the first meeting in December, I have the second meeting in December available in case that does not work out. So on October 18th, we'll go forward and go over all of the administrative budgets. It's usually reasonably easy to do. and then an overview of the expenditures, the revenues, and the capital budget. On October 18th, we will also set the original budget to public hearing to meet the charter requirement that there's a 30-day period in order to get everything done in time. 2 weeks is a long time for a public hearing. It's usually 7 days, but because this is so important, the charter is more restrictive. So because we're moving up the date of the public hearing for the first time, we want to set this all to public hearing, and then we'll have a sheet of all the changes that you make that we've had the last few years. That will be available for everyone. It's always on the website. And then it's all added up in your council package so you can see where we're at, and then you make any changes that you want. November 1st will be a workshop after the regular town council meeting, and we talked about how some of the councils wanted the meetings to be over with by 10. So that's something you can try to stick to, or all vote to continue on. That would be up to you all, but we'll try that. And then on November 9th, we've got another workshop, and that is a Wednesday because the Tuesday is a big election, so that'll be quite interesting. And so you will have your workshop on Wednesday. This is traditional that we would do it this way. I did put an additional session in as the councilors have requested in case we needed it, so I have a session on Thursday, November 10th. We also have a regular workshop that will be on November 15th. This will be a complicated one. It's the capital expenditures, it's the additionals, although frankly, I have not received any additionals at all. I've received sort of one, sort of two. And then of course we'll have the request for the full-time code enforcement officer and the request that seems to be moving forward for a full-time rec director. So I haven't received the paperwork for the rec director as of yet, but that will probably move forward because it's been discussed. And we do have time for that. But we need that all together so that we can add these things in and see what the real impact is of these additional items. When this was first opened up to additional items, there was $210,000 up to $500,000 there for a couple of the departments, and glad they're being realistic this year, so that's good. November 16th would be a finance committee in case you need to do some trimming on the budget or adding things in from the last meetings that we have. And then we'll head to the public hearing on December 6th. And then if the budget is in order, it can be approved after public hearing. If it's not, we still have another opportunity to vote on the budget at what would be the regular time that you've done it for the last 45 years. So we'll see if we can get ahead of that or not. And then we print it out and you've got your budget. It's pretty much the budget schedule. Sometimes we stick to the budget schedule. Sometimes everybody moves things all around. So we'll see what happens this year. Any questions on the budget schedule? Pretty self-explanatory and been approved by the town council. So on your next pages, you've got all of the department budgets, and I was asked not to make any changes or fix anything or add up things, just give you the original budgets. That was a request, I think, 3 years ago. So we've got all of your original budgets here from the departments, and they're in order of police department, street lights, animal control officer, public works, highway, buildings and grounds, transfer station, recycling processing facility, recreation, library, water, sewer, and then we do not have a fire department in the cemetery, and I reminded them and just spoke with Peter Stone about this. So the next page in your packet is the police department. And so you can see they made some changes. The personnel services is left alone because if not, then people would put in their own percentage increase all through the budget. We'd have all kinds of things and excitement. I have told them if they need changes in their overtime to make it less or more, they need to explain that out and tell me. I don't see anything here. I think the only one I got any information on was the highway, and that was the same. So basically, the personnel services will stay the same until I go through and calculate them out. And what we have done the last few years is based upon what the total budget ends up being. I will then attempt to put in a raise, like the cost of living, which obviously is an issue now for everybody, especially those that make less. So we'll see if that can get in there. Some years it hasn't, some years it has. So we'll see what happens. And I put that together and you can look that over. And you'll have an opportunity to look that over because you have the meeting before the budget is finalized. And then after it's finalized, you can, you get your budget package and then you can change everything. So we got the police budget as the first one in front of you. So you can peruse that and see if you have any questions or items you'd like me to check on. Obviously, we're running into trouble with gasoline, diesel, fuel oil. The telephones are an issue. Electricity in some accounts, depending on whether that account is in the main power option, which has the prices consolidated and there's a cap on them, or they're in the ones that we could not put into any program because they were small accounts and not allowed to be in programs.
Okay. The agreement that we made with the Somerset County Dispatch, would that fall into here in any way? Because I don't see it.
We're going to have to put that in either the unclassified or put that in the police budget, yes, because right now it's tentatively applied to the ARPA, but you didn't want to do that. It's just a holding account to take care of the costs, and there was discussion of placing it in the budget.
Yep.
Yes.
And that was 81,000. Was that what our?
They're only asking, I just got the sheet this Sunday, they're only asking for a third of it each year. So they said a third would be due on January 1st, 2023, and then a third is due in 2024, and a third like halfway through 2024. So I'll put the amount either in the police budget or unclassified.
Okay.
Yes, good point. Luckily, they're being quite reasonable that they've worked out this project's going to take longer than what they thought, so that means they can streamline the cost of the town over a period of time.
Okay.
So, go ahead. So just their, just what they've requested and taken out, because we don't have the resource officer anymore. We got negative $60,000. And then you'll have, obviously, adjustments for pay and overtime and part-time and all that.
Correct.
You know, FICA and all that. But anyway,
Yes, correct.
that's
They've got a request.
ballpark. But
Yeah, they have an additional request in which they want the community resource officer put back in there, which would go where the SRO is, taken out. But that's an additional request to be reviewed altogether.
So
I
the,
told them they should fill all the officer positions they have now, and it will seem really good before we put another one in.
Right, I see.
has there been a community resource officer? There hasn't been the school resource officer, right?
there was.
There was.
As of when did that end?
That ended this year. They voted it out.
They voted it out and
So
said,
with the starting of the school, it didn't.
At the start, yeah. So-
correct. Yeah, they said absolutely not coming back.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
So why?
So that comes out of there.
Yeah, but why is that coming out of the town? Why is that
Because we pay
We
like,
did a portion.
yeah, we paid whatever it was,
Yes, we
20% or something, basically.
We paid for about $14,000, I believe. So the summer months, a couple of months during the summer, are paid for by the town in the regular police lines, personnel services, and then because we need to get reimbursed by the school, in both the expenditure budget down at the bottom, in the last entry, is the amount that was going to be reimbursed by the school if they had it the entire year, which never actually happened. It would be, we would have it for part of a year and then not have it and then part of a year. And
Okay.
so in the revenue budget is the revenue, so it washes out. So the revenue
Right.
is in there for 71,971, and then it's in the expenditure budget. So the revenue will be reduced and the expenditure budget will be reduced for impact to zero. And
Right.
then you've got your.
But the impact to the police budget would be that negative 72,000.
Yes.
Right.
We also have the 14,000 that's up in the top part too. The part that was for the summer for the school resource officer.
I don't understand what changes at 71,000 if we don't recover.
Yes, so
What?
I will remember to.
I don't understand why it would change at 71,000 if the school was paying the majority of the budget.
Well, because this budget.
Okay, this is the expense, but and then we would the revenue budget.
Revenue
Yeah,
budget.
you
So we're
have
gonna
to
see-
have it in and out.
So you'll see less revenue.
So
as
we're going
well.
to see a negative on the revenue budget as well.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's okay.
But
That
what
doesn't get through
the,
my
but what
head.
the cops
Yeah.
are asking for,
For
is
municipal.
that much less.
Yeah, for municipal accounting, we have to do that. In the old days, we could just set up a general ledger account and run it in and out and not have any impact and no entries. It'd be really easy, but that's not the way we can do it now.
You were talking about 14,000 somewhere? Where
Yeah,
is-
there's money up in the top part of the police budget. Let's see what figure. Yeah, 2 months share, 14,396 on your next page over under line 01-05. That's the 2 month share for the SRO officer. They crossed out
Oh,
the wording, but not the amount.
oh, that's,
There's a little bump in it.
yeah, SRO 2 month, right.
What's the $3,000 loads it pay above that?
$3,000, that was a one-time, when we were having officers leaving and there was dispute within the police department, we came up with retention items, and the long-term officer, the acting chief, who was sergeant at the time, had, once he was here 20 years, there was a $3,000 one-time payment. So that will come out too, because he received it.
Okay, so we can cross that line.
Correct.
So I can circle that with the question mark.
Now, this is the year that we're going to have contract negotiations, so this is going to be quite interesting.
When do those,
They have contacted me to ask some questions, so I suspect this will be coming up shortly here. Everything all happens at once. It's like you're running all around. Every committee starts up. It's kind of crazy.
so that'll
Taxes are
dictate,
due and everything.
that'll dictate some of this stuff then. But
Probably going to, probably dictate more of the benefit package, right? So usually benefits, that changes, or is that?
The benefits are something they're talking about too. Yeah. In fact, they put some items in here which really are union negotiations and shouldn't be in there. But I left the package alone. So they pointed out ammunition, which is huge increase in that.
yeah,
So they're talking about a separate line for it, or maybe a different account. I'll have to look at that to see where it should go. They will have the new copier, printer, scanner, so we'll have the payment for that in here too. And they do have IT costs now too, which is necessary here. The way we run, we've been very fortunate. We haven't had any issues. We're just very careful on the antivirus. Very careful. And I will get more about what they're thinking of for the community resources. I told them they needed to write that up. That's the one where I applied for the grant. We got locked out even though it got in there. And I have proof that it got in there. And I put it in after the time. It still didn't get through, along with like 85 other entities. And then we got an email that stated that we had until June 30th to file. They gave us an extension of like 15 days, but they didn't tell us till August. So I'm hoping to get that grant application out and fix it so that we can apply next year, starting 3 months early. I figure I can get it through by then.
What's the community services?
Yeah, they're saying they want to add a community services officer who will go around and talk with the businesses, community policing. However, we encourage all police officers to be involved in community policing.
Right. I'm just talking about the $2,500 add-on at the bottom.
I would say items that you would purchase, because they talked to me about how they didn't have anything when they went to the job fair. They didn't have their table filled with, goodies and stuff that would draw you to the table.
Right.
And I said anything that they bought has to be items that
Okay.
would be available to the children, to the citizens. You would buy standard items that you give out, at Halloween or something. And you could take those to the job fair. So I suspect that that's what the 2,500 is.
Right.
And usually there would be pens, rulers,
Fake badges.
things like that the kids like. When they come over, when they used to come over to the municipal building and look down here and go upstairs, they would get something.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they're trying to build that up some, I guess.
That's an exciting day for children. I remember that a long time ago.
So compared to last year's budget, what was last year's budget?
Last year's budget was $1,013,153. And so they've got pluses and minuses, and I'm going to have to go through, I just got this yesterday, I'm going to have to go through and see exactly, if there's some changes that are needed. They have money in some of their accounts that they haven't spent yet. They've got other items that have gone over.
Because in my last year's budget book, I have 1,009,830, and then I have a note where it's knocked down to 993,032. So I was just wondering which in last year's budget book,
Okay, that,
2022.
yeah, I'm thinking that might be the old copy of the budget, because remember they added stuff to the police department?
So I may not have
Yeah,
updated
so it went up to,
information.
yeah,
Gotcha.
it went up to this is the final amount, went up to the 1,013,153. So some places, the budget that you have, that is the updated one. And when you get your budget package, this will have all the lines, so you'll see the exact amount for each account. And then I'm going to run the specialty accounts that you want, which we should talk about on what you'd like. You talked about overtime, Jason, you wanted that one. Is there anything else you can think of? Think about this so that when you all leave, if there's some account where you want to see the history for the last 3 years or 5 years, I think I can do 3. Let me know.
Okay. All right. Well, we're moving on past the police.
Yeah. So the next one's animal control. They didn't change anything. So this is where each year we seem to talk. I told the police department that they need to advertise for animal control officer. The lady that we have doing this doesn't want to do it anymore. It doesn't come over that much. So we need to advertise to see if we can hire somebody in to work as an employee or as an independent contractor. Likely they'll want to be an employee. So this has been in flux for a while. Traditionally, there were a couple of people around here that did animal control services for us for years, but one of them was ill and the other one passed away. So we're sort of, this is not a field that people go into anymore.
So somebody's gonna look into
Yeah,
our options
I
there.
told them to put an ad out and just make it general, and I will check into that. I saw it on her computer because she showed it to me, but we need to make it general to just accept we'll be accepting proposals, as an independent contractor or as an employee, make a proposal. And you see what they want.
Right, kind of going out for bids.
Yes, I think that's the only way to handle this. Because we've advertised for it as an employee and a contract, we got nothing, so let's see if they make a proposal, what do they want? So the next page, you can see how it was set up. At one point, when it was easy to get a police officer, it used to be easier, we did have the idea of putting the ACO onto one of the police officers. We have contacted the part-timers to see if any of them, and almost that somebody talked into doing it. It would be better if a part-timer did it, because then you wouldn't run into such an overtime issue.
To an extent, this could be covered by a game warden, right?
Pardon?
A game warden?
Depending on what it is, but frankly, they don't come out anymore like they used to for the rabbit foxes and everything. Has to be pretty bad. We've called them several times, and when you call up, the recording that we got indicated that they don't send people out. It's kind of a crazy thing. So the sheriff's office had to call them to get somebody to come. So basically, the ACO just handles the domestic animals. So dogs, cats, dogs are the traditional one, and cows, horses are usually, we'll have a few of those running around. The cows are generally in the middle of the road, and the police officers can take care of that, move them along, and figure out who they belong to. And we had a donkey one year that raised havoc. It actually got onto national sites there. We were known for the donkey that ran around town. That was a long time ago.
Alright.
So going on to street lights. Donnie had submitted the street lights with the increase in the traffic lights, understandably, because they're having problems. We just issued a purchase order for a different company, a newer company than the one that we've had before. It's hard to get them to come up from the Portland area. You have to have a certified company to work on the traffic lights because they are on state roads, and even on town roads, you're supposed to have that. Although over the years in different towns, I've had a retired engineer from MDOT that knows what they're doing, but it is a liability issue now. So he increased that a bit, and he left the electricity the same. I don't think that we'll be able to do that, so I'll be analyzing that.
That's not going to happen.
And we do have a letter from CMP that we just received, and I think everybody received it, stating that they're proposing a 3-year rate increase.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. We were in the main power options, and so we get the power from other companies. And so some of those contracts are coming out. Some of them are locked in for a while, which is good. And that's why we haven't seen an overall huge increase all through it, because the larger accounts can be locked in, but the lower accounts, smaller ones, can't be locked in, so they get the big increase.
Can we look into starting to transition these to at least LED lights versus? I mean, I got to think over the course of a year we have, what do we have, like 380 street lights or something like that? Over the course of a year, 380 street lights, super inefficient. I would think it's got to save you some money over X amount of years.
Oh, for sure.
I don't know what the efficiency difference is, but
So we can own our own street lights, which I don't think we want to do. CMP can offer us an arrangement, and then there's other companies that can come in.
So I
So,
would think LED would, you might get like Maine, the efficiency of Maine type grant or something, or at least a refund.
they don't have that for the streetlights, but they do have that for the heat pumps and some other things. And that doesn't mean that just because they don't have it now, they won't have it in the future.
Right.
They keep having different programs. So I will check into that, and you had mentioned that before. We did make some phone calls. Down in southern Maine, several of because this is expensive and time consuming, several of the towns that are close proximity did put out bids. So together to do a big project, because then there would be more lights and get a better price. So I can get bid specs from them. I think Kennebunk did this, Scarborough, down in several of the towns in that area. All right, so we want bid
It'll be
specs.
worth looking into, right?
That would be
I would think.
We just did it at work and upgraded all of ours.
Yeah, we did that at last year too. Yeah.
All right, going on to the highway budget. So there's not a huge amount of change here. Donnie has the same amount for overtime and part-time, which I need to analyze. He's been analyzing it. Most of the accounts is Jason and I were talking, have the same amount. He does have a decrease for supplies,
Yeah.
probably due to the sand and a few other items.
I have a concern on that.
Yeah,
Cost on gasoline and diesel.
yeah, that,
Only going up by a small amount.
yeah, that's a problem area for sure. Yeah, that's not going to be enough.
No.
Well, I mean, if he survived this year, you think it's going to get worse next year than this year?
Well, it depends on November, I guess.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm just thinking, I mean, I guess we would want to talk to Donnie. Maybe he had, maybe he was well under those two line items, and he's only increasing a little bit because he was so much below it.
I can tell you contract prices this year versus last are probably more than $1.50 more a gallon.
Okay.
So if you're looking at you're looking at probably a 40% increase over last year current prices,
Right.
and the forecast is not.
But he had, he had that in mind. Last year he had,
So
I think he was he was anticipating big jumps last year. So I'm just thinking maybe he overshot last year. He's trying to cut down some this year. But
And can you tell me how many employees Public Works has now?
All right. They have 4 positions. We added 2 more equipment positions on, but we've got part-time people there. We hired 3 part-time people. 1 went to the cemetery, 1 is in Public Works, 1 went to recycling, became full-time, and then there's another part-time one at the Public Works. So they are not at full staff, they're at 4. And then Donnie,
so you have 4
We
regular.
have 4
4
regular.
regular.
And how many of those are eligible for retirement?
Well, that's an issue coming up here.
That's what I
We
think.
have 1 headed for retirement.
And what do you have
Yeah,
for
but,
part-time?
but we have others that are eligible.
There's 2 part-timers that come in.
We have others that are eligible though too, right? That could retire.
I'm sure.
1 is eligible,
So
Your neighbor.
So out of the 4, 2 of them,
yeah.
and
This
one of
is-
them's going to be going, and the
This
other
is an
one.
issue, so we're talking to get by, because it just, companies are stating that just that the people aren't out there, that we don't get the applications. Usually this is where you can get help through the state, because we're on the state newsletter, and usually you can pick up your drivers there, and not much is happening for anyone. I think some of the people in the area are trying to find drivers too. So we've been talking to some companies to see if those that lay off their employees who are drivers during the winter would like to come and work for the town, but we may have to increase the pay over what we pay now.
Yeah,
But
well,
they
I'm
won't-
seeing 0 pay increase. That's why I was.
Yeah,
I'm asking.
Yeah.
What's,
So the two people, if I'm not mistaken, the two people that are eligible to retire, the one that is and the one that is eligible,
Yeah.
do our plowing. Is this correct?
Yes, yeah. One will leave, one will stay.
I think we're getting ourselves back into a corner.
Yeah, we are. He is talking to some companies to see if we can pick up some drivers to get by.
is the 4, does that include Donnie?
No, Donnie's separate.
But is he in this line item?
He's in the line item, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is our next problem area. I've got, I've made an offer for the town office, so this is good. All the other departments got straightened out, although there are some issues at recycling transfer station. Regardless of the fact they are filled with employees. It's a hard job, so there's a lot of turnover. So the highway will be the big issue. So Donnie is contacting companies looking for an arrangement. Which would be profitable if somebody had employees that could come over that get laid off. That would help them because they wouldn't be paying unemployment. We would pay them, but we likely would have to pay them more per hour than the people we have. But that seems reasonable because they wouldn't get any benefits. So we'll see what we can do.
That's not a good situation.
Yeah, it's not a good situation.
Do you have access to where they are in their year-to-date expenses? Do we have that access?
Yes, I do. And I actually was looking that up before going. On the diesel,
Yep.
gasoline, this is August. The gasoline is at 74.6% spent. So this is where it's going to need to be increased. And then diesel is at 114% spent. So obviously these are issues here. And the staff had the same items that I have. This is the same document.
So 114%. So if we're at
Yeah.
13,250.
Yeah, so we had spent in diesel 15,164.
Already.
Yeah, already.
And we got, and you're only calculating through August end, right?
Correct.
So we have
Yeah, we're headed for trouble.
3
4
months.
months.
4 months.
September, October, November, December.
So we're only 30%. Yeah, we're. Well, part of that's because once November hits, the big loader gets fired up and doesn't get shut off until April. Literally sits and idles in the parking lot for days. Driving up Waverly, I don't know, it's just sitting there just chugging diesel. But if you take that and divide it by
Yeah, so as Craig noted, the diesel gasoline's going to need to be increased.
yeah, so at current rates, 22,700 is what we just maintain the same rate of usage. Will be 23,000 bucks.
Yeah, what we're at with the gas, you said?
Yeah, and the gas, we are at 74.6%, so we have spent $4,849 of the $6,500.
That's not too bad.
Roughly,
So, yeah,
roughly correct.
Because
Yeah.
the big trucks are generally the diesel.
Yep, his increase is, he's probably about 1,000 short on his increase. But I should go up to 8.
Then the next area that we're having issues with is obviously the heating. We're over, every single department that has a heating budget is over already. So I'll go through all of their budgets and help them with, overall what we should have. I'll take your figures into the budget, Craig, for the
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that again. That's in here. what our contract was last year. When do we do our contract for heating?
We're out of contract now. These are, nobody will bid on anything because they don't want to lock in. So we call around and get the best price we can get. We can try it again, but nobody bids.
I would put it back out. So there was a scare on the contracts about a month ago, but they're willing to do that now.
Okay,
So companies are contracting.
okay. We'll redo that. See what
They
we
won't
can-
they won't do kerosene, but they'll do heating oil.
Okay. We don't have
And propane.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of kerosene, luckily. We run into kerosene with the general assistance, and
That's what
nobody will lock it in anymore anyway from GA.
Do they usually give us like a rack plus pricing? Is that usually what they offer?
Yes, but generally what happens is when this takes place, it's on a weekend or an evening, and the people are out, and we got to pay the extra fee, and I come down and take care of them. This is what always happens.
Better off to just give them out of our diesel budget and have somebody take a truck down there.
So we'll go through the budgets, and thank you, Craig, for the help. Public Works is all set now, but I'll go through for the diesel and the gasoline and all their departments. And I'm going through on the fuel, oil, and the electricity.
Yeah, looks like heating, looks like he's pretty close to that 50% increase, which is about right for this year.
All right. The building and grounds of Public Works. So
Yes, for buildings and grounds, they kept that a little bit more on the electricity, so he looked at that, and it's true, we got a whole bunch of little bills for all of the parks and the little buildings and everything. Heating, he increased this one. Oh, I'm on the wrong budget.
You didn't do anything.
There shouldn't be, I'm thinking there isn't any heating.
Probably not.
There used to be. All right, here we go. We're back on the correct one, buildings and grounds. That was the same. Everything looks the same.
He's got nothing under maintenance. I mean, I know of a few buildings that definitely need some maintenance.
No, I understand. What normally happens is they charge everything because it's hard for them to keep track of which budget to put it in. They'll charge everything to Public Works, even though it's a building like the little building rec has their things in, or
Right, yeah.
the gazebo, things like
Yeah,
that.
gazebo, the food pot over at the...
Yeah, they really should be charged to buildings and grounds, but they'll just put the bill in 1005, which is...
They put it in 1505, right?
Yeah, they'll put it in 1005, which is highway, and then...
Oh, right, yeah.
And then put it in the 15, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we could do quite a bit of work to everything,
Okay. I see how they do it.
yeah.
Doesn't... They really shouldn't do it that way.
No.
Makes it... That's like no point to that.
I know. Mhm. This pretty much takes care of the trees, but we've had a lot of dead trees that we've taken down this year. So I'm going to ask him if we should be doing more tree work.
What takes care of the trees?
This budget and the Public Works budget.
You're talking about the buildings and grounds?
Yeah. There's some that goes in here and some that goes, the regular trees that go into, this is the trees at the park.
The $3,000 is like the contract services? Is that...
Yes.
That's
yeah.
the trees?
Yeah. As well as, there might be loom in there, shovels, what have you.
Yeah.
Flags are a big item.
They'll probably have more water and sewer this year.
Yes, I was thinking that, I just thought that, yep.
They're watering
Yep, that needs to be increased.
that
It's
field
not gonna
and
be
stuff.
$90.
I doubt it. The minimum rate's not bad. All right.
On to transfer station, solid waste. So we've left the overtime and part-time the same.
What do we have for people down there full time?
Okay,
Is that 3 of them?
all right, let's see. Alan, the foreman, Donnie, Michael. So they got their 4.
They have 4 full time.
Yes, and then there's another guy, the new one. So they got 5. One budget has 3, one budget has 2. So they've been full for a while. They've been full almost all of the year. What happens is one of them they keep losing somebody. The new one that goes in there, one person lasted 1 day, one lasted a week, one lasted 2 weeks. I mean,
So they have 5 full time.
they have 5 between the 2 departments. So right now the new guy is still there.
Between what 2 departments?
Transfer station and recycling.
Those are 2 departments. Okay.
Yes.
But it falls under this one line.
No, next page.
Yeah, the recycling's on the next page.
Uh,
So you have 1 full-time, 1 part-time? There are 5 full-time?
5 full-time, between both departments, transfer station and recycling. It's divided up 3 in transfer station, 2 in recycling, but basically they all do the same thing.
Okay.
And they're all down there, and they cover the whatever the
Yes.
hours of operation
Yes,
are.
one is the truck driver for the waste transporter, but he works there when he's not transporting waste.
So you got 5 people.
So diesel, he did increase in this budget.
Yep.
Motor vehicle, that is necessary.
Where are they at currently on diesel?
All right, for diesel, we are at this one's not too bad. We're at 65%,
Okay.
so we have spent 8,900 basically.
So we're 65%, we're 66% of the year, so that's pretty good.
Yes, that is actually good considering. Yeah, the one thing we'll need to talk to Donnie about when he comes in, he's very, 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 very frugal, but we've gotten to the point where we put money away for a number of years and we need to update these compactors and the containers that we have. They're pretty desolate looking.
Will that go into capital improvement or
It's
just,
under capital improvement.
but for his
But he
specific?
has money in the reserve account.
Right, yeah.
That's something when they come in with, we sort of, even though reserves and the capital's all discussed one night, they're here, so we talk to them about it.
Okay.
So I see on contracts and rentals, he's got that down a little bit.
Yeah.
Donnie and I are gonna talk, we're supposed to talk this week, about the waste disposal contract and the extension, where we're at here, there's gonna be an increase. And the landfill that we could have in Norwich Block asked for additional monies, which we didn't approve because it wasn't in the contract. We're supposed to follow the contracts. So I suspect that when this renews in November, they're going to hit us for this, for a big increase. So that's going to affect that budget.
Can we get it? Because then we go out and get an idea of what that increase might be.
Yes, we're gonna
So we
find,
can-
we need to find out for the budget, but we have, we're in the year for the, there's a 5-year option and we're in the midst of that. So, there's no need of trying to go out someplace else. Park is way above that. They already came over to visit us and, wanted to make a deal, but they were so high that, it wasn't worth doing an RFP.
How about the other facility in Hamden?
Yeah, the Hamden one is shut down again, as I understand. They had an investor, and then I think that they got shut down. That's what the park guy said. There's an issue going on there. I think that they're doing bypass and sending the trash someplace. So we may be better off where we're at now, because we do have a contract and they can only increase it a certain amount, but I suspect they're gonna go full max.
What is their current increase looking like?
They get to ask for the CPI, but I suspect they're gonna try to ask for a fuel thing again, because this is when it comes up. In July, when they asked for the fuel item, we said, sorry, no, it's not in the contract now. But November is when the escalation comes, so I suspect that they'll be back and probably want to meet with council.
Okay. I feel I'm not gonna like the answer they get it.
I understand that they're heavily impacted because it's transportation, but so are we and everybody else.
Right.
So most of this is the same except for the motor vehicle maintenance, which the waste transporter is getting.
Are we gonna, usually it breaks down like, the number of employees and their, the pay and all
Yes,
that.
yes, you will have that. He didn't,
'Cause I saw it on an earlier.
yeah, it's in the other ones. He didn't write any comments or submit that. I
Okay,
gave you again, you'll have that in the one I do, but I gave you just the originals of what they submitted.
Sure,
Like
okay.
police have that, for example.
yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Okay.
So if we're all set, we'll go to recycling. Which I noticed overtime, he's got the same amount. And uniforms, everything looks the same except for general supplies. Which we'll do some checking on. When he buys the baling wire, it almost takes up the entire $3,000. So I'm thinking that perhaps he's got enough wire for next year.
Right.
But we'll find out.
All right.
On to recreation.
Yeah, we'll do it.
We used that breakdown from last year and updated it a bit. And again, it can be any combination of very part-time employees for the summer, depending on who's available, what programs they have, so that gets changed around. Those are the essentials.
What was the number on that one last year, Ken?
All right, last year, on this year, it is
Yeah, for 2022.
89,174. A couple of years before that was 50,000, but that wasn't really enough. So 89,174.
Apparently my book must not have been updated. I had it at 76.
Yeah, I think that you've got the old copy of the budget. There's a new one. I'll make a copy of the new one and put it in there. Yes, because they added at the last minute the monies for the maintenance, for the field. And they added back in the 5,000 I subtracted out by using the concession money. So this would be higher because they do have some more people in here. They've got specific projects, the skate rink liner. And my rec is in here, we're just paying for it from the rec budget, but that's their website, so they have it budgeted now. And they got a lighting project at the park, Hawthorne Park. Which it is, when they do the Christmas tree lighting, it is dark there, for sure. I bring my flashlight. And often they'll get the Chimbro lights to brighten it up.
It's also the fencing too, for the 15th.
Yeah, we got fencing. I know, we haven't had to do fencing for a long time, but once it goes, it goes.
Pretty bad.
It becomes dangerous. People can cut their hands. I got a grant for the fencing, but it was, this is 12 years ago now.
Well, they got the building maintenance, so that helps that building.
Mhm. Oh, sorry, I got a leg cramp here. Yep, so they've got a variety of things for the concession cut. Okay, and then in the pool, they've got the sand changed. And pump repair. Yes, we had pump repairs this year. They fit in the budget, but it's not only going to. So I see why they increased that.
I found it, Catherine. You put it in here.
Okay, so you've got the old one and the new one in
Yeah.
there. You wanted to keep
My old one
that.
was still here, but because I wanted to keep it. That's what I.
All right, good, because I thought that I updated it, and I thought,
Yeah.
oh, I can't believe I didn't.
No, it's in here.
Okay, good.
So I found the updated section.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm feeling much better. I thought, oh, I was sure that I had updated your budget.
Yeah, no, it is.
Okay, so you can see the changes.
Yes,
in
no,
the
I found the X section. I can.
Yeah. They're offering a lot more than they used to.
I see the, yeah, water and sewer. Yeah, I'll go through all the budgets and look at that too. That's more realistic.
Looks like you didn't see it though.
No. We can move on. On to the library.
That's the one.
I like the way this,
Huh?
I like the way this is done.
Yeah, Holly does her own budget.
That's easy to see.
She has a very professional write-up. Lynn, the former librarian, used this write-up, and Holly's continued it and enhanced it, in which she goes through and does what I asked, goes through all the budget items and efficiencies and things. So on the budget here, we've got the going down to the part-timers, we've got them as well as the full-timers, and the pay is separate because we'll figure that out later. So starting with training and conferences, and going down is what they've worked on.
Well, yeah, they're not going to travel as much, but
Very few changes.
so
Yeah, there's a contract for HVAC that's changed. One that she took out.
yeah, the roof contract or roof service increased about $2,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been an issue with the emergency lights ever since they were put in. Whatever we spec that out for the new addition and everything just never worked right.
For electricity, $10,000. Holy smokes.
Yes, because they have electric heat in front of the building. Most of it.
Heating's gonna be off.
Well, electric heat. They got heat, do they have heat pumps in that thing?
No, when we did the addition, they switched over most of it to the electric heat. Yes, I remember before they did the addition, you would go over on the water, and you had water coming in on the side downstairs and everything.
Yep.
It was a nice library.
I mean, they got grants for heat pumps. Gotta
Yes.
think a heat pump would cost you less than that thing.
Yeah, that's on my list to look at. You get a certain percentage of the cost back.
I mean, electric heat's not very efficient.
No, I just was taking a look at something. The 1,800 gallons heating oil is substantially off.
What's that?
Heating on 3010.
Say it's low.
Yeah, it should be using the same number, it'd be closer to 7,000.
Oh, I like the price of $2.65.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see how much more change. Water and sewer are going to change a little bit, but not enough.
No, it's going to be an unpopular opinion, but like the hours of operation and the amount of people that are in there, whether they be part-time or full-time, I think it needs to be looked into. They operate 43 hours a week, but at a minimum they can do 25. Save a decent amount of money. But I guess we can talk about that at a later date.
So she has some notes on the 2023 budget. The HVAC controls maintenance contract was not renewed because we haven't had it. So it doesn't need to be in the budget. She increased the electricity, and the van delivery fee is less because we're not doing every day, and the state came in with it. They got a grant from the federal government, so they were able to pay for a part of that. And no consortium participation fee, so that's good. Then she's got a whole operations part that she talks about on essential services as considered by the library. So the next budget's our water and sewer. So there is some movement based upon the costs to date. But not a lot. We are fully utilizing the chemical supply. That's something that we haven't used fully in past years, but the last couple of years with Oliver, they are doing a good job with that. Not that I like chemicals.
What is the M&S building maintenance? That's down 2,000.
All right, so that one, I'll pull out, I have a list of what these are. We have to use on the water We're using the definitions required by the state of Maine for a water department or water district. So they're not similar, they're not the same as all the other departments. So for that one, M&S, building maintenance, 1045. That is exterior building maintenance, pump stations, one half of the garage.
And how about for the distribution bill?
Okay, yep, distribution, 1055. Is materials and supplies distribution, increased repairs for the system, which is good, including pipes, fittings, curb, boxes, valves, and hydrants. So this is how the water is distributed. And we have been doing, we should be doing more here. We got a little reduction there.
Well, that's what I was,
Mhm.
you don't see many budgets going down in 2022.
Yeah, especially if they got metal in there for the hydrants and valves. I'll make a note of that.
She reduced quite a few of the budgets under maintenance, these are reduced treatment.
She has reduced.
She
it.
has some, sorry.
Mhm.
Yep, and supply.
Okay, is that maintenance supply?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep,
1540.
1540, let me check on that. That is well maintenance. Yeah, that gentleman has still not come that we contracted for. There's only 2 people in the state of Maine that can work on our well, that have the proper credentials that will do a good job according to all of our associates. One I know, and one is the gentleman that still hasn't come. And we really need to have them come to clean out the well so it's not as plugged up. It's not bad like it used to be, but this is something that should happen every couple of years. I'm going to remind Annalise about that. Frank, his name is Frank. I can't remember his last name.
So this is Annalise's preparing this?
Yes, she did.
Really couldn't change too much. Kind of where it went up, it goes down in other places.
Yeah.
Well, as you remember, our budget used to be 492,000, and then we put it up a couple of years ago, but couldn't actually spend the money until we got the rate increase, because you can't overspend, your expenses over your revenues, except for the depreciation, which is not a real figure, not a real expenditure.
No.
So we're just filling out the budget, so it should be good for a few years. The only issue is going to be if we try to do another bond issuance, is going to be a problem. We can absorb everything now that will come online that we've approved, but a new one will be an issue.
6521 is up 5.
Yeah, I
Is that
see other electricity is there. On the back of the page, yeah, purchase power for the pump. This is the water pump that's got a massive electric bill during the summer and dead of winter.
That makes sense. It would go up.
Yeah, the depreciation can be any figure. You just can't budget for the whole thing. 1 year it was 180,000. It's not an actual expenditure, but it gets charged to the account and causes trouble.
Going to sewer now.
On to sewer.
Oh, I see. She moved maintenance. Spread out the questions that I had before. So building maintenance was spread. So 5,000 down to 3,000 underwater. Under sewer, it's up from 0 to 2,000.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Same as supply.
Yeah. So I'm guessing we're just balancing. So some of the questions.
Yeah, she just likes it.
But which
Allocated
is
and
fine. 15, 20.
So in sewer, we're starting with supplies.
Contract services.
So what she's done is, in the accounts that are in the water department, she likes those accounts set up because she's used to it. So she's got it in the sewer too. We normally don't use those, but it gives her more breakdown,
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
which is fine.
She went down quite a bit in contractor and or contract and rental services. Almost $8,000.
Yes, I did talk to her because we're supposed to go to an increased price during next year on that arrangement that we made with them as the contract services, and she agreed to keep the same price for the entire year of 2023 instead of changing over. So that's good. And I would say, I mean, there were a few days here when they were trying to straighten things out that they had 4 people here. They have sent over the gentleman that is like feel like he's a rainmaker or something. He can find any leak. Whereas all these other people came, including the Maine Rural Water Association, they couldn't find the leaks. But this gentleman from up north found leaks here and really helped out the system.
Good on that, Craig. The sewer stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
She left the bond payments the same in both. She knows I'll update those. The only one that does stay the same is the 4560 sludge sewer because that's the USDA and it's the same amount. For 30 years.
Where does the expense total come from?
All right, the next sheet.
Is that a?
Where did the expense total come from on that?
Okay, expense total.
It'll be a.
Oh, that's the total of the whole thing. There's no way to get rid of that. The sewer budget is the $501,350. The expense total is everything. It would be the school, the town. It's the end. There's no way to change.
Okay. That's what I was asking. I'm like, okay, how did we get from 501 to 5 million? I was trying to. Oh, I mean, I get admin a little bit, but my goodness.
Yeah, you don't have all the pages because all the admin ones aren't in here. The school budget's not here. County budget.
Okay.
That's everything. So the next page was a page that the police department put in there, and I noticed they crossed out the police cruiser because they've had 2 in a row, and they're saying they'll stick with the original plan. Now, the old chief's car is having an issue, so we were told how much it was going to cost to fix that, and it was the computer, and so I said, try to find somebody else to look at it, not a dealer.
Yeah.
And somebody they know who does towing and has a business said that he's going to look it over for free and figure out what's going on, but it's not the computer, it's something else. So we'll find out. It's over at its recovery place.
Okay. Because I was going to say we wouldn't have one in this year's budget because we just purchased one this year.
Correct.
It's every 2, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like 4 out of 5, right?
Or 2 out, yeah.
It was 2 out of 3, and then the police chief on the Pete wanted to have 4 out of 5, but the department has said they'll go back to the 2 out of 3 thing.
They don't believe we did.
We'll see where we go here, depending on how they work and everything.
Right.
And they crossed out ACO vehicle, that's fine, that we don't need that. They left money in for the police station cruiser, and the floors would be crossed out. The repeater, I haven't heard anything about.
Oh, did they do the floors?
They have the bids. No. Amy approached me about redoing the whole bid process that Michael had done. And she got some good prices, and so this is getting going, so it's going to be done. And we just have to get in the schedule. So she
It'll be
found
done
out
this
that
year.
she could do this cheaper, so we can do more. So she's moving stuff around out back, the lockers and the storage area and the little evidence room. She's done quite a bit of remodeling, and there's more to be
Alright,
done.
so that'll be done this year.
Yes, the floors will be done. As long as the guy shows up, we've got the price now.
And we don't want that.
So that's why that's in there. They were
Was that the painting of the storm windows at the library? Wasn't that supposed to be done this year?
That's the library. We ran into an issue in which Harold Sherwood from Kimbrough had gotten the prices for that, and the prices escalated immensely. So then there's some donations that may be coming in or will be coming in. And then they were told that the project couldn't be done until 2024 because of staffing issues. So they went back to the company, there's very few companies that do this work, and asked them to do this sooner. And it sounds like it will be done in 2023 now. So the money would carry forward. She doesn't need any more money if everything comes forward as is anticipated with donations and everything,
Right.
along with our reserve funding.
Did we do the radio repeater for the police?
No, we did. They did the study, but I haven't heard the results of this. So I just happened to think about this, and we need to talk to the Clinton police chief and see where this is.
Okay.
I don't know how he gets everything done that he needs to do. He owns all the Yankee communications companies and treasuries, and then he's Clinton police chief, and he's got another job. Rusty.
The highway storage tanks, is that the tanks that are in the ground?
That was the cost to dig up the tanks when we got ready. We were starting to put money away, so we weren't going to put any more tanks in the ground.
Right.
Instead of, because that was going to be some outrageous cost.
Right.
And it's nothing but trouble. So this would be the cost to dig everything up and take care of the contaminated soil. Usually there is some.
Doesn't it seem low?
Well, I was going to say, isn't it funding
is
that
like-
should take care of that?
This is like year one.
Is there funding that'll take care of that, though? Because I know there's state funding available for private businesses.
There is.
Like Ron's golf here
Yep.
pretty
I got
much was done
taken-
for free. I think he paid like $500.
Yeah, I got taken care of, yes. I don't think there's anything for towns anymore, but we'll check into that. There was at one point.
Because they have to be out by the 30th year, right? Any in-ground fuel storage tanks.
Yes, and I think that this is coming right up in 2 years.
Okay.
There used to be money for the towns. I don't think there is anymore. That was a while back, but
Yeah.
yes, it was. Yeah, so I'll check.
I'd be
on it.
surprised if we could dig them. Oh, you said that's like a multi.
It'd have to be a multi-year thing because
But
that's not
10-year
enough.
thing.
That's not enough.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're the likelihood that you don't have a leak after 28 years of steel underground tank is contaminated soil is not good for.
Okay.
All right, so going on, we've got the copies of the capitals now that we received, which wasn't many. Usually I have a lot. So I'll have to go check on all of this. We had more money for the waste, to start up the waste transporter account so we don't end up having to borrow it all or budget everything all at once. It's actually a good idea to start early.
What, Donnie wants 3 waste transport cans?
Yes, he's saying we should have a waste transporter account of reserve. We used to have one, and usually it goes away once we purchase the waste transporter. We had an old one when I got here. We saved up the money and bought one, and now we bought the second one, and he's planning for the third one. They get a lot of wear and tear. They usually go good for about 10 years, and then the trouble starts up.
I was going to ask you, they're not long-term lease options for those? Or?
There could be. The last time we checked, it didn't work out well, but yes, we would look into that.
Okay.
All right.
Then we've got reshingle the building here. That's been, I think.
The wastewater building?
The
Where is it?
wastewater, it's the, down by the lagoons, the little building there.
That money that's in excess for the lagoon. Maybe-
Yeah, in sewer, you could use that, or you could keep that for the, different sewer pipes that you
Right.
know, your choice, but yes, it could be used.
I mean, we got, what, 200 and some odd thousand
Yes.
there, so.
Yes. So we got reshingle the building roof for the little building down at the lagoons, for the sewage treatment plant. And that is the original building. Then we got the additional request here. These came from the police department. So they've got an IT server. This is to deal with the data that comes off their cameras. Right now, with the number of cameras that they have from the grant, they're okay, but once they start adding on more, you need to have the server. This is something the Skowhegan Police Chief helped them with. And so we didn't have enough money in the budget to do the server this year, so we only did part of the grant, the ones that were going to expire. So to get everybody on for the body cameras, there's going to be too much data to put it onto the regular computer, so we have to have a separate server. So that's just an estimate.
So we don't have,
Go ahead.
we're down quite a few costs.
Yeah.
You'd think we would have enough budget to cover
You
this.
likely do. That's what we'll figure out once we get closer to the end of the year as to how you want to, if you want to save some money out for things.
Also, looking at security, why would we not look at cloud-based services versus on-site dedicated servers?
Yeah.
As in, you own all maintenance, you own all issues, you own all breach of. I don't think I would rather.
It's over my pay grade, but
If you're going to spend the
sounds
money,
like a better idea.
well, I don't. Every business I know is going away from on-site servers. They're actually more susceptible to corruption and what have you. So that's why I was wondering. So
No, it's a good point, definitely.
if we have the money, why not use it?
Right.
So we got that, which we'll think about. And then they're talking on the next sheet, they didn't do the additional sheets, but they've got requested one additional officer. This is where they're talking about how for officer safety and to have 2 per shift, which we normally don't have. Only certain days that are busy. They want to add the community resource officer in and bring back the money from the SRO and use that. All right, and then this raised the administrative assistant pay, as she does more than a current job description. Unfortunately, every employee does, well, fortunately, almost every employee does more than their job description.
When was the last time?
I
When was
think-
the last time she had a raise?
She's new. She just started in February, I believe.
I think we're gonna review all. I think we're gonna
We have to
review
do
that across the
everything.
board.
Yeah,
We
we
are.
have to do everything.
I mean, I would
I would
think
hope
we
so.
need to.
Yeah.
Like some of those,
Some of the wages I've seen.
you're never gonna hire some people at the rates that we're paying.
Yeah, the
So
lower classification jobs need to be raised up to get
Right,
people.
that's what I'm
Yes.
saying, yeah.
And so they have a better living wage, yes.
Right.
This used to work, but it doesn't work anymore.
right. So it might not. Everybody might not get 6%, but some of
Correct.
these lower wages might get 10%. And the
Yeah.
higher wages might get 3. It's not
Yes,
gonna be
yeah.
a clean sweep.
Yeah, they're all
but-
going to have to get something, or they'll be, just because of the way the world is,
Yeah.
if we can fit
Yeah.
it in, but yes.
That's what my company they just did that like 2-3 weeks ago.
Mhm. Yeah, there's no choice, we just can't fill the jobs, it can go someplace
Right.
else, yeah.
How many officers do we currently have, including
We currently have 4.
4? That's not including the chief, right?
Correct.
But,
The acting chief,
The acting chief is a sergeant, the 4 includes him,
right?
yeah, that we have currently.
Okay, yeah,
so we're at 4+1.
Yeah.
ish.
So I don't see, I mean, that's just me, I don't see any reason why I would increase the budget for an additional if I can't.
I think if we could fill
can't get to
7,
seven.
that would be,
If I get to 7.
we could fill the 7, that would be great.
Right.
I'd be more apt to keep it at the 7 and say, the community resource officer would be, or community officer would be more.
Right.
Yeah,
That would be more your, to me, the position and the definition that they give a community resource officer from what you gave us in the
description.
the description for the grant describes to me what a police chief does every day.
I know.
Like, to me, that is the entire job function of our police chief,
No.
is to maintain the relationship with all the businesses and what have you. Right? I mean, that's just.
Or in a
No, I agree. I applied for it. I was asked to do it, and I've got this wonderful write-up that we just created off the top of our heads there at the last moment, stuck in the federal COPS grant computer system. But eventually, I'll get it out and get it ready for next year, in case you want to use it.
Well, we're in a tough position right now with
No.
chief and
Understood.
other
I just.
things, but
To
yeah,
me,
I
to
get
create
you-
a
I get your
position
point.
that kind of you have that guy already, not necessarily that individual, but that position that's already
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah, and the new officer that we hired loves community resources and community, and so she's running around acting like a community resource officer. They're all supposed to be doing it. It's
Right.
community policing. All right, and then there's some items listed encumbered for these items, but those are negotiation things, so
yeah.
that's not for us now. All right, we went through everything, the department budgets for your focus for now. All right, you want a report that shows the overtime for the last 3 years, I think I did 3 years. Or I did when the
Yeah.
system worked properly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I used to do
basically
I
townwide.
used to
Yeah.
do these all the time, but it just didn't work the last few years.
Sure.
And so now, it doesn't seem to work now, but it must work. It's a custom budget. This is supposed to be an enhanced trio, so
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them that we gotta have it. So anything except, in addition to overtime, are we looking at office supplies? I don't know. What else? I used to run the health insurance, but I can do that in my head. I got a chart. Motor vehicle, I did that at one point.
Yeah, no.
Electricity, that would be helpful. And the telephones, that's for me. I'll be so glad when we get through this lease purchase thing so we can do something different here. We're in year 3 now,
Year 3 of.
5 years.
Yep.
All right.
Off the top of my head, no. Oh.
Yeah, if you think of anything, I will find out how to do now that I've got those books done. The 5 and 6 is going to take a while, so I'm taking a break from it. The employees are working on it. And then I get called in when we've got to make it all work.
All right.
So I'll work on budget now. In the finances, I have to reconcile 23 accounts and all of the budget and the payroll and everything for August. I have all the receipts are all fine, revenues, and the expenses are okay, but I've got to add in the payroll and everything. All right, so anything else you can think of?
I'm good. Are you guys good?
Good.
We thoroughly went through the budget.
Move that we adjourn.
All right. And Craig has to approve that as a second.
Yeah, regular first.
Yeah, second.
All right, 7:55 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, approve whatever's got to be done.
All right, I'm going to turn this off and go turn the other one. Record.
Rolling stuff. There we get these home. How many times are we going to pay for tree services? To your point, holy cow!
Oh,
Third
it's
time.
very expensive.
There's a lot of trees.
There's a lot of bad trees. Ingstrom is so backed up on some big projects, they don't come, and the other gentlemen are all good, but they're very expensive.
Saves us $2,800.